Hey everyone, for those of you who don't know, my name is Matthew Baker and I'm a professional counsellor. What I'm going to teach you in this video is a really important thing which everyone who has depression needs to understand about the recovery process. Now I've talked about this briefly in other videos, but I thought I'd make one specifically for this topic as it's so important and can have a big impact on how likely you are to recover and how well the process goes. So let me get straight into it. So the thing people really need to understand about the recovery journey is that it is not this. And this is actually where people's expectations are quite often, which is that if you start doing the right things, things will go up and up and up and up, and then things will get better. And that if you have a little trip up, a little bit fall, whatever, then that's evidence for the fact that you will not recover from depression. This happens so often with people that I talk to in my private practice, which is that things start going well, then there's a trip up, there's a slip up, things don't go that well at times, then that's evidence confirming this underlying belief that you cannot recover from depression. And this is not the case. The trip ups are a huge part of the recovery journey. The recovery journey is actually this, up and down as you go up. Eventually, over long term, it is this, but incrementally in the little instances throughout the day, throughout the weeks, throughout the months, it goes like this, like crazy along this journey. And you may go up and up and up and be up here, but then it may go back down here. And you go up, then down, up and down, and eventually it gets on that trajectory which you expect it to be at, but you just don't account for these little incremental things which happen. And there is a huge importance on the trip ups and falls which you have, which I'll tell you now. So let me start with the example of someone who's stopped binge drinking. So someone may have made the conscious choice to stop binge drinking on the weekends because they notice that they have hangovers for Saturday and Sunday. If they drink Friday and Saturday night, they feel lower in general in mood in the early days of the starting week where they're at work and stuff. And it just really has a really negative impact on their mood. So they've decided to stop drinking. Now, they may have stopped drinking for about 3 months, right? And then there comes a point where they start drinking. They had one big night and their mood goes all the way down. Now they may think, oh my gosh, I was going so well, I was going to recover, but now I'm not doing well anymore. I've started drinking again, things have all turned to shit, and I'm just not likely to ever recover from depression, that I just can't do this. But that's completely false. When you have these little falls, and this can be applicable to anything which you're trying to cut out, or a new behavior which you're doing, which you've been doing every day, like physical exercise, then you skip a day and you catastrophize it. The falls you have where you don't really meet up to your standards of what you really want to do are there for a purpose. If you had the inclination to have a binge drinking night, it's actually really important, and there's so much to learn from that incident which you consider to be a failure. There is so much to learn. What led up to that event where you felt the need to binge drink? Was there peer pressure involved? Was there some stress at work which caused you to feel that way? So we have to understand the trigger of what was actually happening at that point. As again, these little lows which we have along the journey tell us so much about our triggers, what caused us to be happy, what caused us to feel down low again, what we did wrong. So for example, maybe you were doing too much too soon, you had too much on your plate when you're doing this sort of stuff. So let's say you started physical exercise, healthy eating, a mood journal, and also you cut out binge drinking all in 1 week. That may be too much too soon, and it led to you having a breakdown in that you just couldn't handle it. Your prefrontal cortex was overwhelmed with all this new stimulus. Your brain was just going nuts, and you had to have some comfort, and you craved something like a bad habit. So you have to learn what actually caused this low point, and that's why you go up and down, up and down. So you have a breakthrough up here at the top. Then at the bottom you have little, what you would call failures, but they're not failures, they're learning lessons. And that gradually is what will take you to the next peak, where you've learned something new, you go up to the next one, then at the next peak, you'll be at this top, but then something may happen, there'll be a challenge, and that will send you back down. But it'll be the main thing which you need to note with this recovery process is that the low is better than the low before. So don't judge the low as evidence that you're not going to fully recover. Judge it as something where it's like, if you are going to judge your progress, think, is it as bad as it was before? How long do you stay back down? So how long do you feel in this really negative space for? How long does that happen? Did it used to be 1 week and now it's just 1 day? Okay, how painful was it compared to before? How easy is it to get back up this time as opposed to before? Because the thing with life is that we're not just going to be happy the whole time. Everyone, no matter whether they're depressed or not depressed, however they are, everyone has times where they feel sad, everyone has times where they feel low, and you will have times, regardless of whether you recover from depression or not, you will have times where you feel sad in the future. The key is learning how to handle it, how to adjust to it, and how to bounce back so you're back on this upper sort of playing field where in general your mood is quite high, it's a lot higher than it was when you're depressed, and you know how to deal with the sadness. So that's one part. The lows which you have are not failures, it's not evidence that you're going to stay low for the rest of your life and you're always going to have depression. It's a learning lesson where you learn about your triggers, what makes you happy, what makes you sad, what went wrong. Did you have too much stress on your plate? Did you have a family conflict which triggered you to go back down to a bad habit? Whatever it is, you learn from it and you grow. So that's the lower parts. The next part which you need to learn about, which you need to adjust your expectations for, is instead of catastrophizing these low parts, the high parts, we can read too much into it and think we've recovered from depression now that we have a high. And unfortunately, that just isn't true. That's not how the recovery journey works. How it actually works is that you have these breakthroughs, so you have a challenge, you go up to this big point where you feel really happy, like, oh my gosh, I've overcome a big challenge. Awesome, celebrate it, be happy, give yourself a hug, internalize that success and feel good about yourself. But realize that something else, a dip may be around the corner. Expectation has to meet reality. So when you have these highs, that's fantastic, but in the recovery journey, there's so many breakthroughs which you're gonna have. At the start, it may be you learn into a new habit like physical exercise, and you have a big breakthrough. Initially, you have this huge hesitation towards doing it, and now you've done it, and you feel really good. If you've done it for a month, awesome. But there's going to be other breakthroughs. Then you're going to have maybe a mood journal. Maybe you're going to have a week where you don't touch a substance which you've been trying to avoid. Maybe you're going to generally have a very high mood one week and you think, oh, I've recovered. You may have recovered. I'm not here to say that you haven't or whether you have or not, but the important thing is that you may have another dip. And again, with anyone who's a human being, they are going to have dips regardless of whether they have depression or not. People get sad, people are happy. It's about the baseline over the long course, as opposed to these incidental moments where you think, oh, I've been feeling really good for 3 days. I'm fully recovered, I'm never going to be depressed again. Don't read too much into it and think everything's going to be peachy. Be prepared and envision the fact that, hey, I'm going to fall down again at some point, but the key is learning from it, and it's going to be a growing process as opposed to viewing it as a failure. And with the highs, you embrace it, you feel great about it, you really enjoy it for what it is, but also think, hey, I may have another little breakdown at some point. There may be another learning lesson to have. And again, as human beings, our whole process of life is learning and growth. We always learn new things. We're always wiser in the future. We learn new habits, new skills, new thinking processes to navigate our way through the world better and better. And that always happens. So while you may think you're at the top, enjoy it, really embrace it, but also recognize that there's still more learning to do. There's still new ways you can adjust and be more resilient towards depression and negative thinking. And that if you continue on this journey, and no matter whether it's hard, easy, whatever it is throughout these points, if you just continue on this journey of growth and learning and overcoming depression, then you will get to the destination which you really want to get to. So I really hope you found this video helpful. Again, I really want to make a separate video just on this topic because it is so important for expectations to meet reality. As if you catastrophize things, then that can lead to a downward spiral. If you over attach to these positive moments and think that everything's gonna be positive in the future no matter what, then that can also lead to a downward spiral, because if one little thing happens which knocks you off a little bit, it can lead to a huge fall. It's the difference of standing at the edge of a cliff with your feet over the edge and the wind just gushing over a little bit, versus standing a few steps back and enjoying the view still, but not being so sure of the fact that you won't fall, because it may happen in reality. I'm not trying to do this to put you down, but just to let you know that these things do happen, and it's about expectations being as aligned with reality as possible, as it's from this sort of place that you're going to be a lot more strong in who you are, where you are, and the longer you'll be able to last on this recovery journey. So again, thanks very much for watching, and I'll be sure to see you in the next video.